If you've missed day 1 and 2, don't worry. If you enjoy this video, you can go back and watch those. Each one's a sort of standalone one. Right, well, the eagle-eyed among you might notice that today's a grey sleeping bag, whereas yesterday's was yellow. That's because I had it inside out and didn't realise. But let's see what the day's like. First thing, always looking for the visibility, wind, and oh, wow, pretty nice day. Might as well use the dew to my advantage and get all the bugs off the leading edge. So you can see from the windsock there's hardly any wind today or this time of the morning, which is great. Just have a look around. It was very quiet initially. It's a joy of camping on the field. And here we have the fire and rescue equipment at the airfield. And then here you might wonder why there's a rocket display on an airfield. Well, the Isle of Wight had the grounds where they tested the rocket motors. The rocket was actually launched from Australia, but the rocket engines were tested on the Isle of Wight. It's kind of trying to give you a sense of scale. This is a full-size mock-up of the rocket apparently. And now the facilities are pretty good. Don't be put off by this. Got a proper flushing toilet, and around here we've got the shower. Pretty complex to work, but certainly a good setup. Okay, so this is going to be our route from Sandown. Overnight, the restricted area around the Isle of Wight festival had suddenly appeared. It's the advantage of Sky Demon. You can see things immediately, rather than have to go, as in the old days, go through pages and pages of NOTAMs, notice to airmen. So here we are departing on runway 23. Slightly uphill, and the ground at the end of the runway climbs as well. So going from an intersection, because it's way long enough, I was fed up of taxiing down the parallel taxiway, which was fairly rough and slow going. Checking that the other aircraft has cleared the runway. Flight is going to be from here all the way back to Old Park Farm in South Wales. On go. Airspeed building up, that's the middle dial. Lifting off, holding it down, taking the airspeed build, getting rid of the flaps, and then climbing away. So it's goodbye to Sandown. They request that you fly at least a mile in a runway heading before commencing any turns, so as not to annoy any neighbours apparently. So as you can see, as you climb out, you can see the Isle of Wight spread out before you. The visibility was really fantastic this day. Over to the left is the sea and the town of Sandown. Those hills at there, over those is Ventnor. But we're going to be turning right once we've flown about a mile. See, the fields look very dry. That's looking back down towards the Solent, which we'll be crossing in due course. So this is our route across the Solent there. Again, back to Bewley, and the water's about 3 miles wide. So here we are. Yarmouth is down there, 1,500 feet to keep under the controlled airspace. I worked it out for what my aircraft is, which I conservatively put 1 in 10. So, as you can see, we can glide right across without getting wet. How I determined was that video that came up there, showing how I arrived at those figures. That's looking back towards Southampton Water, a big container ship just leaving, and the Isle of Wight is behind us there. So we're going to squeeze in between Bournemouth and Southampton controlled airspace back. Once clear of that airspace, I could climb a little bit and move over Wiltshire. Just show you around the cockpit here. A little bit of handheld work. As you see, we're clear of that controlled airspace now, been able to climb up, climbing up to 2,000 feet. And once we're over this area, we're into Wiltshire now, and that is Fern House, the stately home of Viscount Rothermere. This is north of Compton Abbots, Shaftesbury area, and this we were looking for a disused airfield of Zeal. It was only ever a grass strip, it has got a perimeter trap. Very hard to see from the air. And this is Glastonbury, the week before the actual event, and had a controlled air, restricted area over it. But I couldn't believe the area that it covered. You can see right up on that hill, tents, and I say this is just when they were setting up. Absolutely incredible area. Somewhere I actually wouldn't want to go. You can see down there the pyramid stage just about the centre of the screen now. Then we're passing Wells and its cathedral and running along the Somerset levels. Now those stills I just showed you, the sound's not working well when I show you those, but just notice how we're passing to the west of Bristol. Here we're coming up to Weston-super-Mare, 1,500 feet. To remain below their controlled airspace. It had a listening squawk. They could hear me if they wanted to speak to me, which they didn't. Let's speed this up a little bit. That's the real speed, and here we are a little bit faster. You can see Weston-super-Mare Pier coming into view, and that is the sort of angle we're going to go out. The reason we're going there, we can remain at 1,500 feet. Gives us 500 feet below the controlled airspace in case we get bounced up, which is very easy in a hot day like this in a light aircraft. There's Weston-super-Mare Pier, looking back at the town, and now we're heading out to sea. And then we'll turn, and then we can head towards Cardiff once we get to that turning point up ahead. So what's clear, we're looking right up the estuary there. That's the view from the outside, the engine behaving impeccably. My imagination had put sounds to it, but it hadn't. It was marvellous. So there's Cardiff coming into view. There's 2.5 minutes with the circle not touching either side of the estuary. There it was. But there was vessels in the estuary which I could have ditched next to. And here, we're coming to Cardiff. Here we could see down, and there's the heliport on the right there. Definitely could land on that. There's over 300 metres of flat ground. And then to the left there's the Cardiff barrage, and beyond that fields. So turning towards them. It does seem funny that you can fly over a capital city. To the left there is Cardiff controlled airspace, which comes right down to the ground, but here we were clear. So here's Cardiff docks on the right, and then just looking down there's the Senate, the government building for the whole of Wales. And then we can look further up into the town and see Millennium Stadium now. Is it called Millennium? I believe it is. Let's change its name. So just enjoying being over ground, having somewhere to land should the engine fail. There's fields off to the left which are well within gliding distance. So carried on 1,500 feet, enjoying the views of the city. It's the River Taff wending its way down through the middle of the city. To the left, the retail parks. And just about passing over the, or will do, Ninian Stadium, Cardiff City Football Club. That's what a friend videoed me passing over his house, looking a little bit like a drone, I must admit. That's the advantage of Flight Radar 24, people can see where you're going. And here we are almost back at Old Park Farm. Now let this run normal speed, there's the coast, and we're looking for the farm. It's just about in the, if you take the nose as 12 o'clock, looking at about the 2 o'clock position. See the windmill, and it's just to the right of the windmill. So fortunately somebody on the ground gave me the information, there was nobody else flying, so I did a right hand circuit to join right base for runway 36. A little bit of a crosswind, but nothing to write home about. So just looking around, you see the windmill there, then look to the right, and you can just start to see the airfield there. So this is right base for runway 36 at Old Park Farm. This has been a really enjoyable leg. It was a total distance of 135 miles in all, and it had taken me 1 hour 49 minutes, which gave an average speed of 74 miles per hour. Did have a little bit of headwind at time, and also I wasn't rushing. I was just enjoying the views as I came along. So there's the solar farm and the power lines now. Getting ready to turn onto finals for runway 36. Having a good look at the power lines, make sure I've got good clearance. The big pylons, over 200 foot of ground level. Looking for the second ones. Almost on the center line now for runway 36. That's the second pylon. There's the second pylon in the right of the screen now. There it is, over those. Notice the throttle's almost closed completely. Now the runway is uphill. There is a 3% slope up the hill, which doesn't look it from here. We're coming in low. Expecting a little bit of turbulence from those trees on the left there. Oh, there it is. Touchdown, and suddenly the adventure is over. It's been a brilliant 3 days away. I hope you've enjoyed watching along with it. As I say, if you've missed day 1 and 2, you can always nip back and see them. And thank you so much for watching all the way to the end.